Here's a big question, ladies and gentlemen, as we go to a brand new year, our first discussion in 2015 here. Question is this: what is Islam? And we're doing this brand new unit in class. We looked at some questions we saw in here, had a little mini quiz we did using Kahoot. We talked about some stereotypes and questions we have about Muslims and Islam. And let's get to what is Islam. So, about the founding of Islam. The whole thing starts from a place called the city of Mecca. Mecca is home to a lot of religions, a lot of polytheistic religions, or religions with many, many gods. And they're all kind of based around Mecca. And their idols were stored in a place called the Kaaba. The Kaaba was this big black stone that's been destroyed and rebuilt many, many times in the middle of the city. That's where a lot of the idols and the things were kept for these different religions. Um, and so, there were Christians there were Jewish people there as well. A lot of different religions existed around this area. Well, there's a guy living in Mecca named Muhammad. Muhammad was a caravan leader. His whole job was to um, lead people through the desert, basically, and get goods from place to place, city to city, those kind of things. And as the story goes, he was kind of unhappy with how people were living. There's a lot of wars, a lot of violence over the scarce resources in this area. And around 610, Muhammad is in a cave at a place called Mount Hira outside Mecca. Here's this cave. You can see it right down here in the bottom of the picture. Well, the story goes that while Muhammad is in this cave, he hears a voice. That voice identifies himself as the angel Gabriel. And as this angel is talking to Muhammad, according to his story, he repeats every single thing the angel says. Starts receiving more and more visions, those kind of things, returns to Mecca, and starts to teach people about him. And the first person he converts to this new teachings he's giving is his wife, Khadijah. She was the first ever convert to Islam. After his wife is converted, then he converts the poor, then the slaves, and then very, very last to convert are the rich. Now, some people in Mecca who have established a lot of teachings there did not like his teachings, and they actually plot to kill him. And he has to run away with his family to the city of Medina. It's up here north of Mecca. It's called a Hijra, which is basically an event in kind of something that's celebrated in the Muslim religion. Eventually, he in Medina, people start to follow his teachings. They come together and make a big army. They march to Mecca, invade, and take over all the pagans and evict them out of the city. Muhammad comes in, takes all the religions and idols out of the Kaaba, and Mecca becomes the new center of this new religion of Islam. And so it's kind of when he comes back and takes the place. But over here's the Kaaba. You can see all people around it as part of the Hajj, which we'll talk about more in class. So Islam is a religion. It's not a people. Okay, it's not a country. It's a religion. And in Arabic, it literally means peace. Okay, and a Muslim is a follower of Islam. Muslim means one who submits to God. Submit being that basically give all your beliefs, all your everything to God. Now, Muhammad is considered the prophet of God. Now, Muslims believe in other prophets as well. Abraham, they consider him to be the first prophet, and he's kind of their first prophet that's there. Abraham is actually the, kind of founder, if you will, of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, where he's one of the first prophets. Muslims believe Moses was a prophet. They believe Jesus was a prophet. Okay, he's actually a very important prophet. But Muhammad is the number one main prophet of Islam. That is his job. He's not a god. He's just a man, another dude, but he was a prophet who was saying the word of God. And he writes a book called the Quran. Quran is a holy book. It literally means word of God. So all those things that Muhammad taught that he heard from his angel were then written down later on in the Quran by his followers. There's another book that was written too called the Hadith. The Hadith are the actions of Muhammad, kind of an idea of how people should live based off what Muhammad did. Now, the holy building in Islam is called a mosque. Okay, it'd be like a basic Muslim church, basically. The language you see is Arabic. And as a symbol you see up here, you see this on flags, those kind of things. This is basically the Muslim symbol, if you will. It's a crescent moon with a star. And that's kind of the main symbol you have. Now, we're talking about 5 big teachings that exist in Islam called the 5 pillars of Islam, something you have to know. These are all kind of main teachings that Muhammad talked about in the Quran and kind of the basic principles upon which Islam is built. So our first one is the idea of faith. Okay, faith. There is one God. Now Allah is the Arabic word for God. So if you hear the term Allah used about Islam, that is basically what it means. This right here is the Arabic script for Allah, if you will. You're never going to see images, okay, in a in a mosque. Instead, you're going to see the words written out for Allah or for Muhammad, whatever it might be. That way, you're not distracting images from God or trying to make an image of God. And Muslims believe that this is the same God in Christianity and Judaism. So it's a monotheistic religion, and it's actually the same God, very, very close related in the same God ways to Christianity and Judaism. They believe that Muhammad, is that last prophet. Okay, they follow his message versus, say, Moses or Abraham or Jesus or another prophet that came before him. He is the last prophet. He is their prophet. Okay, prayer. Muslims pray 5 times a day. Okay, pray in the morning, noon, afternoon, sunset, and evening. And so what they do is they will stop what they're doing, drop everything, and pray 5 times a day. In a lot of Middle Eastern cities and very big Muslim populated areas, there's something called a call to prayer. The muezzin, what he does, stands on top of a mosque, and they would actually call the people to prayer at those 5 times. They will look at another video that's in class. There's actually a lot of ceremony goes into it. You have to have special washing before prayer, those kind of things. You may find in Muslim areas of the world, in bathrooms, they have special basins for people's feet. So you can wash your feet and hands before their prayers, those kind of things. And you always make sure you face east or towards the city of Mecca when a Muslim prays. So you're going to make sure they roll a little prayer rug and they face Mecca. Also, all mosques, the front of the mosque always points towards Mecca in the mosque as well. You even find in big areas around Detroit in the United States, a lot of Muslims are there, and that's part of they celebrate that way. Okay. Another one is fasting. So there's a Muslim calendar, and the 9th month is called Ramadan. That's the 9th month of the holy calendar. And so during that 9th month of the calendar, the lunar calendar, it basically means that Muslims will not eat or drink from sun up to sundown. Literally, okay, and this is every year is different. This year, it was not July 8th. It was actually a little later. Last year's PowerPoint should change it. From Ramadan existed. Every year is a different day. It should just finish, I believe, last month, this past year. Basically, and during Ramadan, Muslims give up all worldly pleasures from sun up to sundown. That can mean food, drink, cigarettes, any kind of stuff they give up. Basically, you are kind of putting all your focus, okay, on God and your religion versus worldly pleasures that you do. After sundown, then you have your feast with your family. I'll probably tell a story again in class, but I was in Minneapolis, and my cab driver was from Somalia. He was a Muslim, and I was going to dinner with my wife and our friends. We went to dinner, and he was like, I'm like, hey, well, can we give you a call, come pick us back up? And he's like, oh yeah, no problem, just don't do it between these hours. He goes, it's Ramadan, we're fasting, and that's the time we eat after we fast. And so it's really important for him that he, could, celebrate with his family and his friends after they're done fasting, so they can give up their worldly pleasures, those kind of things. Cover this more in class as well. Another one is called alms. Alms means giving to the poor. And so Muslims are supposed to reserve a small portion of their income, okay, and give it to the poor. If you're really rich, it's supposed to be about 2.5% of your income, give or take, is one of the numbers I found online. Okay? If you're poor, you just help people out. If you have a little extra food, help somebody out. You don't have to give money, just help in some way. The biggest thing here is that it needs to be done of your own free will. You don't just do it because you have to. You do it because, well, you want to. Whether it be helping somebody, you do it out of the goodness of your heart versus feeling obligation. It's kind of like when I taught in Green Bay, students were required to do 40 hours community service to graduate. Well, in the end, people weren't doing service to community because they wanted to. They're doing it because, well, they had to graduate. And so this whole idea of giving alms, you need to give of yourself, help other people out because you want to, not just because religion says that you absolutely have to. And the last part then is called the Hajj. The Hajj is a once in a lifetime religious trip that a Muslim will make to Mecca. Okay, so here is an example of the Hajj, a drawing from an English person who went down there to see it in the 1800s. Here is Mecca and the Hajj today, picture probably a couple years ago. Okay, and so once in a lifetime, if a Muslim can afford it, they go to Mecca, they participate in the Hajj. There's a series of rituals centered around the Kaaba, that big black stone in Mecca. Now there's been a big mosque built around it. Mecca is a huge city now. built up with hotels and airports, those kind of things to facilitate the Hajj. It's a very, very big deal in Muslims. There's stories of people who have walked, thousands of miles just to participate in the Hajj one time. And it's actually very, very secretive. Up until recently, it was not really something that was open to outsiders, people who were not Muslims. There are stories of British people who were interested in this idea of the Hajj in the 1800s, and they actually would paint their faces and go in disguise and sneak in and just to see the events of the Hajj. And it was a very, very big deal at the time. And so the Hajj is a big trip. We'll talk about the Hajj more in class. There's a little piece on your notes about the Hajj. That'll be a video we watch as an American journalist actually videotaped himself going through the whole process of the Hajj and those kind of things. So that's all we got for this notes, guys. Please make sure you're done for Wednesdays. We talk about the 5 pillars and talk about some of the good basics of Islam and getting to more in-depth pieces about this very interesting religion and culture. Thanks a lot, guys.